Hello, this is Dominic DeAngelo, and this is episode number two of the 5 Count. You may know me from such outlets as perhaps WrestleZone or AdFreeShows.com or several others, but I am here with you on the 5 Count. If you're not familiar with this show, apparently I just go down 5 topics, what I think is newsworthy, and I just chat about them. And we'll cover some stuff. I give my thoughts. And we're going to start off with one of the big topics, one of the breaking big news topics of a Thursday evening. And that happens to be CM Punk. Well, lo and behold, CM Punk puts a little something on Instagram. So this is what Punk wrote and then deleted on Instagram. I got some thoughts on this. I got a little bit of thinking here. So, sigh. I wasn't cleared to come back to wrestle yet. This now, mind you, is he's referring to the Dynamite where he was squashed by Jon Moxley, if you remember that, for his AEW title. Sigh, I wasn't cleared to come back to wrestle yet. Then the plan was to wrestle at the pay-per-view, meeting all out. I sat and listened to Moxley's Rocky 3 idea, which I'm gathering like Clubber Lang destroyed Rocky in that one. And then, so that was the big story, how he just started, completely obliterated him. I explained how I'd never seen a Rocky movie, and I thought the idea sucked. But if the boss wanted to do it, whatever. He said he wouldn't lose to me. I'd never experienced someone refusing to lose to me. I just laughed. I asked Tony if this was what he wanted. He said yes. He's the boss, so I said okay, but I need to be cleared first. They kept saying I could be a squash, so I didn't need to be cleared. I scoffed that. My health is more important. Dave Meltzer is a liar. Jericho is a liar and a stooge. There were plans, but plans always change, but I'll never put a company above my health over again. All right. Punk, known to be outspoken. That's his signature, basically. Very outspoken at the press conference.
What's your name, sir?
Dominic DeAngelo.
Fuck the Pittsburgh Pirates. What are you doing? What are you doing?
But when you think about this, Punk is pretty committed to what he has to say. So him to just post that and then delete it doesn't seem a little lined up for me. And there's a good reason why, I think. You can call me putting on my tinfoil hat. You can say whatever you want. But I have my reasons. And I think it's still kind of work. I really do. So, but we have to dive a little bit more into the 5 count here to parse the tea leaves, if you will. Okay, topic number 2 will lead us to continuation of topic number 1, and that is El Hijo del Vikingo versus Kenny Omega. It was posted, I believe, last week by Tony Khan. The announcement was made, and it was labeled a dream match. Feedback about it was very excited if you're an ardent wrestling fan, but if you're not an ardent wrestling fan or you just want to be a smart ass wrestling fan, you're going to put who? Who is El Vikingo? I think who is kind of a fair question to ask in certain ways, especially if you aren't super familiar with wrestling or you're not really in depth with it. So the aspect is I was familiar with who he was. Granted, I write about it, but I also was aware of him because of MLW, and I've seen his talent. He's amazing. I think he is one of the top stars going, and the Wednesday night match here that happened was very much proof of that. But there was a bit of lack of promotion for it. Now, I think through some circles, it's been said that they were very much on a time constraint of how they could, when they got the okay to use him in this match, so it wasn't too many days, but there is something that you can do still. You can still promote it. You can still do a video package, certain things like that to kind of get him over. And I understood the criticism. Now, you want to build this guy. You want to make him seem like a big deal as much as you can, even in a little time frame if you only have it. If that's all you have, make the most of it. Do a video package. Show us shit that he's able to do. Get somebody to speak for him even at the beginning of the show. I know the announcers put him over, but do it a little bit more. But, also People kind of like were like, oh, come on. And Tony Khan took a little exception to that. Then we get to the show itself, the match itself, excuse me. And heck, it was good. It was good. It was now, if you're like wanting something of psychology or storytelling, wasn't much to that. But from a spectacle standpoint, holy smokes, these guys could go. Obviously, Kenny can go, and Vikingo stepped it up for that. So it was a fun match to watch. I will say with those matches, there's a lot of times where if you're watching and you are the ardent fan, you see that close calls of somebody getting injured or it looks like very close that they get injured. You're kind of like, it kind of takes you out of it a little bit. I could see that happening with me a couple times as I watched it. But yeah, it was a fun match. I like both those guys, everything like that. And I think to that point, what I kind of did find upsetting is that El Vikingo didn't win. He didn't win. Now, he might not be back next week. He might not be back for months or however, but Kenny Omega's kind of Teflon. Kenny Omega's pretty Teflon. And if Vikingo were to just beat Kenny, it would mean a whole lot more for Vikingo than it would for Kenny that he got that win. And I think it was a missed opportunity. It was great that he got to showcase himself, show what he's about. But I mean, could you imagine just him getting the win and then going away for a while? Like that would be something that you could build off of Kenny and you could build onto Vikingo when he comes back. I think it was a missed opportunity. So people kind of were like, who about it? I'm kind of like, there was aspects where I'm just like, you can do promotion. And it would be one thing if AEW had a track record of promoting stars and who comes out and giving them more of a backstory and more of a way to relate to them. But there has not been that for multiple stars, no matter if they've been there weeks or 2 minutes. It's something that needs to be worked on. And I think this was just another aspect where people were like, well, nobody knows who this guy is. And I don't mean no, but I mean that people don't know who he is. So why wouldn't you introduce him? Why wouldn't you make him relatable? He's great. I like, he's one of my favorites. Going to that modern stars to him, Bandito. I mean, holy cats. It's pretty great. But you got to kind of relate. This leads me to the aftermath of the match. And that was the Blackpool Combat Club coming, beating up Omega, Don Callis up to no good. And then the beginning of Dynamite, you also had the Young Bucks being attacked, being stretchered into the ambulance with that truck in the back, with the tables over CM Punk's face. Then you also have, hey, guess who just came back to not at Revolution, FTR. Guess who's having the World Tag Team match next week at Revolution? For they either win or they leave AEW. That's FTR. Guess who's friends with CM Punk? FTR. Guess what? You can kind of really make all happen. FTR's attacked the Young Bucks. They got into a fight with CM Punk at All Out. CM Punk has contention with that. CM Punk calls out Moxley, who was also involved in that NA angle at the end of the night. I kind of think there's something up here. I think there's more to meet the eye. I think this Blackpool Combat Club attacking him at the end was a bit of a red herring. I think we're going to get more of a reason later on. I wouldn't rule out CM Punk. I wouldn't rule him out. Could be my tinfoil hat. But hey, I don't mind wearing one, especially after I have a couple of these. Oh my God, it's too much. All right. This leads me to topic number 3. And that is another spectacle we got to see this week for a company I happen to work for, and that is Major League Wrestling. It was Alex Hammerstone versus Jacob Fatu, fight number 2. We've been waiting over 2 years for this match. The last time they butted heads was at Fightland 2021 in Philadelphia, the very same place where Super Fight here took place. And you know what? This episode Underground. So, and I tell you what, these guys know each other in and out. And you look at the match we previously talked about with Vikingo and Kenny Omega. These were matches of different eras. Very much so. I have gone on to say, since I saw this match in person, so this match aired last night or this week on MLW Underground. It was taped, I believe, at the beginning of February. So I got to see it firsthand. When I saw it, I was like, this is the match of the year so far. And you know what? It holds up on tape too. It's very much Hammerstone and Fatu are two very different people than the two main eventers on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. And they told a very different story that was hard hitting, fast paced, but told some more psychology than what we saw on Wednesday. So while the main event of Dynamite tailored to the more modern, newer fan of wrestling, fight Fatu versus Hammer 2 played more towards the classic fan and what we're used to seeing in wrestling. And it was a lot of fun. It was a shorter match. It was still a longer match, but these two went back and forth, slugged it out. Hammer went all out. Kenny ended up beating Vikingo with the one-wing angel, which nobody ever kicks out of. Well, nobody ever kicks out of the Nightmare Pendulum, which is Alex Hammerstone's finisher. And he's protected that since he got into MLW. No one has ever kicked out of that. And he's pinned everybody with it. Everybody. So it was basically down to Baron Corbin. Somebody kicked out of Baron Corbin's finisher last year at WrestleMania. Then nobody still kicked out of Kenny's. And then nobody has kicked out of Hammer's until this one. Jacob Fatu kicked out of the Nightmare Pendulum on MLW Underground in this title fight. And that Philly crowd was electric, like going back and forth, chanting for both men. It was a very, very fun match. Jacob Fatu showed his athleticism, and then Hammerstone did too with some intense, not only just a running shotgun drop kick, but then he did a top rope shotgun drop kick that was reminiscent of like an RVD doing it to Fatu, who went bouncing into the corner. It was amazing, an amazing spot. And then the finish happened when Hammer hits the Nightmare Pendulum a second time and defeats Jacob Fatu in their second match. And then the two exchange handshakes, raise one another's hand. It was a story told. That's one that's been over 2 years waiting. And great. I still think, if I had to pick one of these matches, I would still pick Hammerstone versus Fatu as my match of the week. Just build up a lot of opposites in what AEW did in comparison to what MLW really flourished in. And then they both had an aftermatch angle too, where now Hammerstone was attacked by the Calling Ravens new faction. Something to very much look out for there. So a lot of very cool elements. I think AEW can learn from what MLW just did here with Fatu and Hammerstone. I know even if they were on a short time constraint with Vikingo, still can tell that story, baby. Still can tell that story. Topic number 2. What another way AEW can tell a story here with none other than Bill Goldberg, who is a free agent now. Now, if you're the AEW fan, you do not want Bill Goldberg into your company. I love Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg is one of the guys that got me into wrestling in a lot of ways. One of the first people I met, and just had a presence. Complete polar opposite from a lot of what the AEW roster presents in both physique, look, and age. So you have, I think it would really behoove Tony Khan to sign Bill Goldberg, and here's why. You bring him in, he's going to get heat immediately. And not only that, but if you have him run through, not only just some of the lower card stars that you can really have him squash, but have him run through some of your notable stars, even some of your pillars. Because you know what? Your pillars can be pretty damn Teflon right now. And I will name a few for you right now. I made this list on Twitter as well. So some of the names I did: Kenny Omega, you have him beat clean. John Moxley, you have him beat clean. Orange Cassidy, you have him beat clean. The Young Bucks have him beat clean. You also have MJF beat clean for the title potentially. Hey, throw in Jungle Boy. You know what? You could do Darby Allin too. But here's the key. If you have him beat MJF for the title, you have him just talk trash to all the neckbeard fans out there, all you, how do I put it here? The wrestling Twitter fans. Have him call them out. And then who do you have come out and challenge him? Is Wardlow, who has had ice dumped on him these past several months. Wardlow was arguably the next Goldberg. It had that kind of heat, that organic heat, babyface heat coming out, just destroying people. And then that got stifled. Just via booking, via lack of TV time, via a whole lot of stuff that went on. They did not do Wardlow any favors. And so now Goldberg comes in. He's the reason that we were kind of thinking of Wardlow in that light, in the same light of Nikita Koloff, certain things like that. But then you have Wardlow beat Goldberg. That could be for the title. That'd be pretty cool. Or it could just be straight up, you have him beat him. But then you tell a story that way, and you can make it a long-term story. You have Goldberg come in every couple of weeks, every week, and just destroy somebody. Just, hey, I'm here. I'm collecting money. Tony paid me, and I am getting my championship. You have him come with that mentality, but then you have Wardlow get in the way. It heats Wardlow back up, and you're back in a better position. So that will be topic number 4. And on to my final topic here, and that is WrestleMania weekend. I'm not necessarily talking about, the wrestling itself, the events itself. I'm going to talk to the media, as me included. I include myself in this. By all means, I do. All right. Something that I saw at the Revolution pay-per-view, it drove me up a wall. After the pay-per-view, I will say, at the media scrum. Okay, MJF just wins the title. Full of piss and vinegar. Coming in, pickles. Coming in with a towel on his neck. Coming in with blood on his face. Very reminiscent of the aforementioned CM Punk and our all-out press conference. And what does he do? He's like, hey, I'm ready for the tough questions. You guys hit me with them. And he was all in character, all smarmy, all full of cuss words, everything like that. Talking where he got these pickles from. Basically, it was a substitute for the cupcake. So the door was open. The door was open to ask the questions. Anything. Ask about Punk. Ask about the situation, the booking situation is with AEW. Ask anything. Whether it's in character, who cares? That opens the door. It makes it easier for the media guy to do this, or gal. You know what? Nobody pulled that trigger. Nobody. MJF wanted to make these media scrums interesting. He really wanted to, and nobody took the bait. Nobody did. It's very upsetting to me. I had a lot of FOMO that I was not there because of that. I was just, it was there and nobody did it. Upsetting, but hey, this weekend coming up. Well, not this weekend, but WrestleMania weekend. There's going to be a lot of media opportunities. Why don't we step our game up this week, huh? Why don't we kind of try to stifle as much as it was warranted? The criticism for wrestling media is completely warranted. You got to ask more tougher questions. Myself included. I can't remember which one it was. It was, I don't know. It was one of the AEW shows. I want to say maybe Double or Nothing. I think when Punk won the title. I was the first, when Punk came in there, I was the first one to ask a question. My question sucked. It was bad. It was softball-esque. I basically just said, how does it feel to be champ? One of the worst questions you can ask, but I wanted to get a first question in there, and I wanted to make sure I got a question in there, so that's what I went with. Oh, boy. So, hey, I, myself, can do better as well. So, let's all try to do better in those media things. Let's try to be a little more profesh, too, huh? I think that can always help. So, that's it this week for the 5 count. I'm Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow, hey, I work for Ad Free Shows. Follow Ad Free Shows. Go to adfreeshows.com. Check out some subscriptions, and you can participate if you do top guy level, you can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. You can also sit in on live recordings of podcasts and so much more. I do a lot of good interview content on there too. We'll see one upcoming. So, hey, I'll see you next time here on the 5 Count.